What's up YouTube, it's Heretic here, and I'm back with another Rogue deck profile for you guys. Today we're looking at a Rogue expanded list based around the new Darkrai, the Mythical Pokemon Darkrai promo from the new May Mythical Pokemon box. And this is the first of these mythical cards to actually really catch me by surprise and say like, hey, we could really make something out of this. And the reason for that, just go over the card real quick. It's got 110 HP, Dark Cutter for 1 darkness and 1 colorless, just does a vanilla 30 damage, so it's not too special. But Abyssal Sleep, the second attack, for 2 dark and a colorless, does 80 damage, which isn't much, but it also puts your opponent's active Pokemon asleep. And then the catch here is your opponent has to flip 2 coins instead of 1 between turns for sleep when they're put to sleep by this attack. And if either coin flip is tails, that Pokemon is still asleep. So they go from a 50% chance of waking up all the way down to a 25% chance, which is a pretty big deal. And so we can try to do something here to lock their Pokemon in place, and that's what we're going to do here. Darkrai, of course, you know, just being a pretty playable Pokemon through the original Darkrai EX, and now even the new one seeing some play, so always been pretty popular in the TCG, it seems like, at least for quite a while. So this one, you know, it's no exception. They didn't really disgrace Darkrai, in my opinion. I think this is a pretty interesting card. Now, we could have gone a couple of different routes with this. I considered going with Garbodor, but the more I thought about it, I thought maybe if we lock them down, just item lock completely, maybe that would be a little more effective. So we are running a 3-2-2 line of Vileplume, which, as you guys probably already know, each player can't play any item cards from their hand. And that goes in with Forest of Giant Plants really beautifully to help us get a first turn Vileplume out. We're also running a 2-2-2 line of Dusknoir with Sinister Hand. Basically, it lets you move it lets you manipulate the damage on your opponent's board and control where it goes. And the trick here is pretty much the same as it's always been. If you need to take something out, you can move all the damage, make the most of every damage counter, and take something out, you know, as long as there's that much that Pokemon's max HP just spread out across your opponent's board. However, the other trick here is that with Abyssal Sleep, they're not going to wake up very often, so you can also try to keep one Pokemon locked in the active position while you continue to use Sinister Hand to just over and over move their damage counters. We also have 1 Keldeo EX, Keldeo and Floatstone just to kind of switch out when we need to, and then we run 1 Jirachi and 2 Shamans for draw power and supporter search. Now, as I went over already, Forest of Giant Plants, we run 4 of those. We also run 2 Floatstones to work with Keldeo. And then we have Computer Search is our A-Spec of choice because we're running 2 Stage 2 lines, and since I don't have Tropical Beaches on here, and I kind of like the idea of Forest of Giant Plants, I mean, I feel like we're just kind of better off trying to go for that turn 1 since we have all the search power and we have Shaman. There are definitely a couple other ways you could build this. You could run Skyfield if you really just wanted to go ham with more Shamans. But I think right now what we have here is pretty solid, at least for a deck like this. So we have Battle Compressor. Now this can drop some Darkness energies. This is really the big thing here, other than thinning out the deck, getting stuff in the discard that maybe we just don't want to see. We can drop Darkness energies for our Dark Patches before we get Vileplume out. Because you do notice we run 3 Dark Patch even though we are aiming for a turn 1 Vileplume. So playing around that, you know, and maybe if Vileplume's just about to come out, just compress some items out, I guess, so that we don't draw dead. It is actually conceivable with this to manage 3 energies on the Darkrai and get Vileplume out all on the first turn, although asking for that might be a little bit much. We also have 3 Level Ball, 2 Pokemon Communication, and 4 Ultra Ball, so plenty of ways to search the deck for Pokemon and also prevent us from having to discard too many of them with Professor Sycamore, since we're not using Vespiquen. So just kind of some options we have there. And then we have AZ, Lysander, and Teammates as our tech supporters. Teammates especially, you know, kind of the interesting one here. Since Darkrai is not a Pokemon EX, it has only 110 HP. It's not going to sit there and take a whole bunch of hits, and it's not charged up with a single double colorless energy the way Vespiquen is. So just being able to go and pull stuff that we need, go grab an energy in your Darkrai when one gets knocked out, and then just retreat out of Keldeo. Just kind of a little way, and you can put like an extra Oddish or an extra Duskull up for a turn if you have to. But most of the time, like I said, the idea is to keep them asleep. And then while you're attacking with one Darkrai, you can start to charge up another one. We can also Lysander up things with high retreat cost to stall out, of course. And then 4 Ends and 4 Sycamores, just, you know, consistency in our full-on draw supporters. We round out with only 7 Dark Energies, because realistically you're not going to need more than 2 Darkrai's in most games, I think. Unless you go up against a deck that is full of non-EXs, where you actually do have to knock out 6 things. But if you get your item lock established early, you can usually curb what a lot of decks can draw, so that can also be beneficial for us. So we are going to go ahead and take this into a game and see how we can do with it. Okay, so let's see if we can actually make something happen with this here, if this is just some silly idea that just is too clunky to work. It's probably too clunky for a major tournament, but that's why we just play games with them instead. So we're going to get a hand of nothing. Let's hope our opponent doesn't, you know, just throw in the towel when they see a Vileplume. I've done that once or twice, depending on what random decks I've been playing. Ugh. Okay, so we're going to get stuck with a Duskull to start. Not exactly the first choice I would have for a basic Pokemon, but hopefully we can make it work. If we can top deck a Darkrai, we can compress and Dark Patch immediately. Which definitely wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but that's not going to be happening. So we see a Landorus EX and a Druddigon. And it looks like we prized a pair of energies, which really, yeah, that just sucks. So we're just going to toss a couple of energies in the discard pile, put down Forest, and play an N here. Get rid of those extra cards our opponent drew. Alright. So that's about all we're going to get this round, it looks like. Put a Darkrai down. Go ahead and play Pokemon Communications. Send the second Darkrai back into the deck. Pull an Oddish out, I think. Well, we could also pull a Shaman here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Can Dark Patch an energy onto Darkrai. Attach one from hand. Actually, attach, please. Thank you. And set up for 5 cards. Oh, wow. Alright. So, we can go ahead and play another Dark Patch here. Unfortunately, we didn't throw 3 Dark Energies, or we could have done that yet again. So we'll go ahead and play Level Ball. We've already got supporters, so we're just going to go ahead and grab an Oddish here. And I think that's going to be it for now. So, we may end up seeing our Duskull bite the dust here. We see a Mewtwo come down. It gets a double colorless right away. Our opponent plays an N, so... I mean, we had a Sycamore, but that was really about the extent of our hand, so... it'd be okay to let that fly. And we draw pretty well, it looks like, on this one, so... we are going to see Muscle Bands go into both of those EXs, though. Okay, so we're going to get the Float Stone on our Duskull. And then, let's see, we can go ahead and do Ultra Ball, discarding the Forest of Giant Plants and the N. And that can go and grab us a Gloom. And we still have Forest in play, so we can just evolve and then play that Professor Sycamore and see if we can't get Vileplume and maybe start to work up towards Dusknoir as well. Alright, and that'll work, what we ended up with here. We can computer search away the Oddish and the Forest, I guess, again, to get Vileplume out. We do have AZ for emergency here. So we can go ahead and put Dusclops down, put Vileplume down, and we can free retreat into Darkrai and use Abyssal Sleep for 80 damage and inflicting double coin sleep, and I guess we can call it that. And we're going to see 2 Tails flips from our opponents, so Druddigon is staying in Slumberland, and we see a Juniper. Okay, so Skyla, Bicycle, another Juniper in the discard. And so our opponent's going to pass. Now we need to hit that Dusknoir this turn. Okay. The other thing we could actually do is Lysander here. So if we Lysander up, let's see, if we Lysander up the, I'm thinking the Dusknoir here, or Dusknoir, sorry, Landorus. I don't know how I got those two confused. Could try to do that too. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring the Landorus up. And let's just go ahead and Abyssal Sleep again here. Alright. That works out. So we can just deal the 80 damage there, and hopefully then next turn we'll be able to go and fetch Dusknoir. We're going to have another turn if we miss, hopefully, unless she gets 2 heads, or unless he gets 2 heads, sorry, 2 consecutive turns. So we're going to play an N, drop our opponent's hand size from 8 down to 6, and we're going to miss. Oh god, we missed everything. But we do have the Sycamore. So at least we have a little bit of redeeming quality here with this hand. We're going to do the Sleep again. And once again, one of the 2 flips is Tails, so it will be... Landorus will stay asleep. Now, we can knock out the Mewtwo if we can get the Dusknoir out. And we're going to see a Verbank come down, knock Forest out, but that's fine. Again, you know, it's like... Forest is nice to have and all that, but we got Vileplume out already, so I'm not really going to fret too much. We do have one more Forest of Giant Plants somewhere if we absolutely need it. So our opponent's just going to end her, or sorry, my previous opponent before I started recording this was a female. He's just going to end his turn, so we can go ahead and... God, I wish I had an N here instead. I'll go ahead and attach an energy there. And just going to throw the rest of this. Okay. There's the Dusknoir. That's what we were looking for. Alright. So we can go ahead and use Sinister Hand now and just knock that Mewtwo out. And we can actually take... If we wanted to, we could take Landorus with it. And this is going to take... Oh, and our opponent's going to go ahead and scoop the game. That was going to take a while. But you can just kind of see the raw power we get there of the 75% lockdown with the sleep effect of Darkrai, and also then just taking Dusknoir and moving all that damage out, Vileplume, locking our opponent completely out of items. So we'll go ahead and try one more with this. Okay, so we'll get going here in another one, and we've got a bunch of different types now on this one, so go ahead and flip our Lugia coin. That's not going to work out. Okay. So we're going to start with Duskull again. And we're also going to get Darkrai on the bench. And we're going to go again... Ah, Flareon. But that's a bunch of one-prizers. Yeah, we'll take one for the mulligan here. Alright, so our opponent's got an Eevee and an Unknown. Alrighty, so let's see. Our hand, well, we have an Ultra Ball. I guess that's not too bad. Can also discard a Dark Energy there. Compress to get 1 or 2 in the discard for Dark Patch. Could have been worse. Could probably just play down the entire hand and then Shaman for 6 here. So we see Acrobike first. Discards a Battle Compressor. We're going to see Unknown. Just go ahead and use Farewell Letter. So an additional card there. I don't think if he's discarding a Compressor, he might just be grabbing a second one. So we're going to see another Farewell Letter here. Okay. We've seen Ultra Ball, discarding a Flareon and a Vespiquen. This is probably going to be a pretty long first turn here. So we're going to see another unknown. So a third farewell letter is going to happen here. We'll see if he gets the fourth one. Trainer's mail, okay. So that will grab a Bridget. Interesting. I guess I could see it with a bunch of non-EX attackers. It wouldn't be my first choice for a deck like this, but I guess I can understand it. So Combi Unknown. So he does get the fourth unknown. Combi Unknown and Eevee come out. And so we're probably just going to see another farewell letter here. Yep. So another card. So that's already... Okay, that's 6 Pokemon in the discard. Doesn't really need much more. We're going to see... It looks like an energy evolution here with the fire energy attached to Eevee. Okay. Well, now we got something in the active that has enough HP to be trapped. To not get knocked out by Abyssal Sleep, which is actually going to be relevant here. So we can attach Ultra Ball away 2 Dark Energies. And I think it's going to be key here to actually check and see how many Dark Patches are in the deck and how many we... Okay, so we got all 3 of them in the deck. Got all our energies this time, too. Definitely noteworthy. Now we're going to grab a Shaman here. And go ahead and Battle Compressor, drop a 3rd energy. That's really all we need to be dropping. Duskull, we got Dusknoir in there, we got Dusclops, got Jirachi, got Oddishes. Let's verify here that we got Gloom and Vileplume. Got Gloom, got Vileplume, okay. So we got everything it looks like in the deck, except for maybe Keldeo. So we're just going to go ahead and attach to Darkrai and Shaman for a full 6. Okay, we're going to draw into Computer Search and shenanigans like that, so I'm down with that. We'll go ahead and grab Oddish from the deck here. So we're going to go ahead and put that down. We can play Dark Patch and bring this thing immediately into play. And then Computer Search, toss these 2 out. And we could just go and get another Shaman here, realistically. Actually, it doesn't seem like too bad of an idea. We've got 1 and 1. And then afterwards we can play our supporter. So we'll Shaman here for 5. Okay. And this actually, well, no, because we missed the stadium. I was going to say that was almost perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get another energy on there. But we don't have the stadium, so there's not really much else to do here. We're just going to end. And we're going to get... Okay, so we're actually going to get the stadium this time, but we're not going to get the rest of the resources. So I'm going to go ahead and send Jirachi back into the deck. Go grab a Gloom. Pokemon Communication will get us that. And I think we'll just go ahead and bring up a Shaman. I'll give him the 2 prizes. That's fine. I'll put Gloom on the board. And then we can always AZ and reset up for some draw power if we have to. So we are going to see a Vespiquen here. And we were able to get a decent amount of our setup going as well. So I guess it's not... Well, it was far from... This was far from perfect, but it could have been a lot worse here. And we just need to hope we don't get Lysandered this turn. As that really does become more of the issue here, I think, than anything else. Okay, so we're going to see Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon all go to the discard pile. Just one of each. Interesting to see Vaporeon again. It's something we haven't really been used to seeing, I don't think. Kind of neat to see that again. We see a Trainer's Mail. Gets nothing, so see where he goes. And so we do see a VS Seeker here for Bridget again. And so he's just going to play Bridget again here, it looks like. Now, not only are we kind of really pushing here to get Vileplume in play next turn, but we really want to follow that up with Dusknoir the following turn. We do have Dusknoir here in hand. So a top-decking Duskull, or I mean, sorry, not Duskull, Dusclops would actually not be the worst thing to happen here. So we do see a double colorless come down onto Flareon, and he's got 9 Pokemon, so he's got enough to just go ahead and knock us out. Now we can bring up the floating Duskull for now. Ugh, a hand stuffer. It's not what we want. Alright, let's just go ahead and toss those out. Alright. And let's see. What do we want to do with this? I guess we could play the level ball to get rid of it. There's the other Dusknoir. I think we're just going to search for the Oddish here. Well, we get the Jirachi, I guess. Go ahead and play that down. And can also Battle Compressor here. Drop some stuff that we maybe don't care quite as much about holding on to. Go ahead and let one of those guys go. Just let these things go to the discard pile. We can retreat into Darkrai here. Go ahead and evolve into Vileplume. And we'll use Abyssal Sleep here for 80. Alright. So now we're just going to try to work on really just not getting hit here, I think is it's going to be the one big thing. And we still have one Dusknoir left in deck, but only one. So we need to go ahead and get that into play right away. Flareon's going to stay asleep, so we won't actually have to attack it here, which is a plus. We can attach another energy. Okay. And then I think we're just going to play an N. We missed it. Alright, so we're just going to leave it now. Alright, good. I got a little worried there when that first one was heads. Gotta remember that that's going to happen sometimes. But by not attacking, we give ourselves another turn, another chance to go and N in for the Dusknoir. And it also gives us another attachment on our bench Darkrai in the case that we do get knocked out. So we will have a second attacker ready to go. Okay. And Flareon will stay asleep again. So the odds are working okay right now. Go ahead and do that, and we're just going to play N again. Try to get into that Dusknoir. Ugh. Still nothing. And we're going to have to just leave this thing sitting there for another turn. Alright. But the coin flips are doing okay. You know, the coin flips are saving us right now. Because we're going to N again next turn, it looks like. We got one in hand. We also have another energy to have the second Darkrai fully powered up. Okay. So Flareon just on a double tails there. So we can toss another energy and N yet again. Come on. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? You can't give us one frickin' Dusknoir? Yikes. I mean, we still do have the Forest in play, so there's one other play we should be able to make here. Oh, nope. AZ's in the discard pile. RIP. Now, Teammates is not, however. So if we do take a knockout here, which we can do, We just gotta hope that we don't lose Dusclops or Vileplume. Okay, so we're just gonna see Vengeance here for 130. We're gonna lose Darkrai. Go ahead and bring up the floating Dusclops. Okay. And we'll play Jirachi and go grab our much needed Ghost. And that's going to be our only search. So we can bring this guy out. And we're going to go ahead and do an Abyssal Sleep here. We'll hit it for 80. Okay. Just keep it in place now. We can also bring the Vespiquen out if we want to, which, while it might not seem like it would do much, we could Lysander it up and potentially have something sit there that doesn't have energy and then feel a little less guilty about killing the Flareon. Probably wait a turn for that, though. I'm going to use Sinister Hand here to start moving some damage. Can take a couple of prizes here. Get a couple of knockouts. There's one. Okay, and then we're going to go back into Dusknoir here and get another one. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and take a couple of things out. And we'll go ahead and use Abyssal Sleep again for 80 more damage. Okay. Good to go. And we're going to get kind of a sour face. So we're going to see a Leafeon come into play now. Flareon's going to stay asleep. And I think in this case, I might actually send Flareon back to the bench in exchange for Leafeon here. So Leafeon doesn't do anything. It's going to one-shot us, so we can bring that out instead. And then we're going to go ahead and use Abyssal Sleep again. Alright. So we've seen Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Leafeon all in this deck. Definitely fun stuff. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now. We're going to use the Sinister Hand to move a couple of damage counters over into that Flareon. We're going to get those energies off the board. I think that's the big thing here. Going to get that instant knockout threat off the board. We're going to go ahead and move the rest of the damage from Leafeon over to Vespiquen. This is a lot of clicking. Why can't you just click how many times you want to use it all at once? I mean, it's not as many as it used to be, but God, I always felt they could have done a better job with the clicking on this thing. Yeah. Just go ahead and move it all over there. And we'll use Abyssal Sleep again for 80. And as long as Leafeon is stuck there this turn, that should be the game. Really don't see how it wouldn't be. He says this battle was purely unfair. And so he's going to say we won by luck and not skill. And so he flipped kind of poorly, but we're going to say a little bit of Definitely amused to see people get a little about that. It's kind of a dick deck to play, but it's not Excelgor, so come on. Alright, so anyway, that's the Mythical Pokemon Darkrai deck with Vileplume and Dusknoir. I'm Heretic. Salty opponents are kind of funny. Anyway, cheers, guys.